Hello, everybody. Once again, it's the Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast show. My name is Kevin O'Neill. Hope you're doing all right. I like that name. That's pretty cool. Hey.
Jazz hands, spirit fingers.
It's Friday. It's not Friday. Today's Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
It's Saturday. Saturday. That doesn't work right. Hey, I'm really happy to know. I just want you to know, we talked about this earlier before the show. I got a new light in my studio.
Woo!
I got an actual video light.
Yeah, I thought somebody was doing your makeup.
Yeah, well, not today.
It's the light. It's lighting is everything.
Lighting is everything, and people don't realize this. When you're doing one of these podcasts, you know, we got professional equipment here. We're not jacking around here. We got mixers in here, and we got the interfaces that go with it, and we record this in stereo, and we have
not
lighting.
Me, I do everything on the cell phone.
That's right. You look like you're on your cell phone right now. And you got your Radio Shack microphone. I love that. That's it.
Yeah.
Radio Shack D10 microphone.
Because that's exactly where you get this particular one at.
Exactly at. Radio Shack is out of business now, huh?
I believe so. However, Blockbuster still exists if you live in Oregon.
Right, the one. They got the one store, right?
The one,
store. Yeah. And it's cool.
Yeah. However, and not everyone's on my personal Facebook page. I should put this on the Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast page. But I took a picture because yesterday when I was just going about my business, I came across, not making this up, a TV and VCR repair shop.
Really? Oh, yes, I did see that. That's cool.
Yeah. TV and VCR repair shop. And it was named Charlie's, which I thought was hilarious. It's a thing. I guess people in 2020 still have VCRs.
Well, you know, I played with Michael Capetta in the band for a long time. Michael used to have a repair store like that. He down in I believe it was Moreno Valley. He had
but keyword used to, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he probably still would. His garage is full of, oh my gosh, he's got so many parts for those things and everything. I mean, If he needed something fixed, he could probably fix it.
I just thought to myself, like, I could understand a DVD player repair shop, but not a VCR repair shop.
Well, you know what? I had a lady call me here a while back, and she wanted me to convert. She had an old I don't want to say it's a TiVo, but it's something from Spectrum. It's a DVR from Spectrum.
Okay.
And
the unit itself.
Right, and it still has a hard drive in it.
Okay.
But it doesn't have they don't use it anymore. It's obsolete. And she has a bunch of shows she wanted to convert to video for her.
That are saved on it still.
Right. That are saved on it still. And
Did you tell her there's this thing on the internet called YouTube?
Well, this is like some kiddie programs or something she had wanted that she'd done. I don't know. I'm not sure if she could get it off YouTube or not. But the thing is that I went through and I studied the whole bit, and to get stuff off that hard drive is like major math. I mean, they have logistics in there that's just the numbers and the way you have it coded and the whole bit. It's a real pain. It would be. Just one of those things where, gosh, I just don't know what to say. It would be really difficult. So I haven't called her back on it yet. I need to call her back, and because I have the equipment in the studio here to convert. You know, I have ADAT still. I can take. For all you musicians who listen, back in the day, before Andrew was born, they had ADAT. And that's kind of like a video cassette, like your VCR.
I think I saw one during a, one of those video things that they used to wheel into my classroom.
Right. On
rainy days. So I think
that's not really an ADAT. That's probably a VCR. But
I think I've seen a video about an ADAT.
Right. So to make a long story short, I have a couple of ADATs and I plug them in. They're each 8 tracks, and they're like video cassettes. You stick them both in, and then it locks in time, and it has a time code, and it syncs up and the whole bit for all your recording people. It's kind of crazy it's very crazy to have to have that nowadays. People still call me and they want to convert like 24 inch or 24 track 2-inch tape or 16 track 1-inch tape, or they have ADAT, and they all want to convert to digital. But we're all digital here in this studio. I've got 64 tracks plus in the studio that we can do in the recording here.
You mean we can record 64 people at the same time?
We could. I have that capability to do so.
That's not bad. Not bad.
So I mean, I've done choirs in here. I've had choirs in the studio. We have another room that the vocals go in and stuff, and they can do the choir. And I've had up to 92 tracks of choir in here at one time.
That's
it's
amazing.
pretty crazy. Yeah, but time goes on, and of course we got the virus still out there, which is crazy. And
which is great, because I'm glad you brought that up. Arizona is like the worst place to have coronavirus in the world right now. They're number one.
And I thought heat killed coronavirus. What's up? Arizona's like one of the hottest spots in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. I was reading USA Today, and one of the articles that was just released was Arizona teachers sharing a classroom for summer school. All 3 contracted COVID, and then 1 died.
I did see that.
I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, but I have family. My brother lives in Arizona, and he still thinks that this is propaganda. Absolutely, he doesn't think that it's as bad as it is.
Oh man, I just this whole thing is just oh my gosh, I just can't. The thing about the face mask just tears me up. I mean, it's like I comparing it now. I see people post this thing about to atheists. Okay, atheists don't believe in God. Okay, but
Right.
there are Christians and other people who believe in God,
Okay.
and they're saying that if you're an atheist, if you are an atheist and you don't believe in God, what happens if there really is a God? What does it hurt to believe and worship God and to go to heaven if there really is one, as opposed to not worshiping and believing God and going to hell, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the thing with me and the face mask. What's the difference? People are crying over this thing. What's the difference of wearing a face mask? I mean, so what? You wear a face mask and you help protect others. And if it doesn't work, so what have you got to lose?
I literally came across this in public, and it's mind-blowing to me how many people feel like their rights are being taken away. It's the mark of the beast. As Americans, we are so overprivileged. We are so entitled that the simplest thing that you can do to help others, absolutely out of the question, because it interferes with the way you live your life.
I agree. I mean, I do have to agree with you there. I believe that, again, they're saying that if you wear a mask, you can keep it. I agree on there's 2 counts here. Okay, there's 2 counts. The first count is, yes, if you wear a mask, it does not protect you from getting the COVID. It does not. I mean, it helps curb it, though. I mean, your droplets come out, and the mask is on you, so they're not going to go, they're going to stay in the mask pretty much and kind of curb that from going out. But if you don't wear a mask, they're going to go out further and if you get it on your mask, it's going to come in. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, there's just so much here that doesn't make any sense to a lot of people, but they think that what's the difference in wearing a mask and what's the difference in not wearing a mask? Well, I think you should wear a mask when you go out. And people are like, oh, I'm not going to go in this store because, I don't have to wear a mask. It's against my constitutional right.
They have curbside pickup.
Well, and on top of that, these people can go, okay, well, I'm not going to wait. It's no shoes, no shirt, no service, no mask. You don't get waited on. These people who own these businesses have the constitutional right to say, they've always had this, the ability to say, I'm not serving you. You go in there and start being a jerk to the waitresses or to the cooks or whatever, or to the salespeople, they're going to kick you out. They're not going to serve you.
And for all those people, go ahead and write us on Facebook. Facebook.com/the best podcast ever, and let us know what I'm about to say. If you can actually counter this reasoning, okay? Why do we have the policy no shoes, no shirt, no service? So if you walk in a business without a shirt on, or if you walk in a business without shoes on, why does that business owner have the right to deny you service? The same thing as not wearing a mask. And if you could defend it otherwise, please feel free to defend it, because the last time I checked, if I don't want to wear shoes, I shouldn't have to wear shoes. That's my constitutional right. Do you see how stupid I sound right now?
Well, I'm glad you're wearing pants at least.
I am wearing pants today. Yes. I
know-
actually, fun fact, I'm not wearing shoes right now, but I am wearing pants.
Well, that's
I'm proud
good.
of myself.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. But you're right, man. And I have to agree with you this. I mean, you and I both, if anybody has been watching this show, the last 7 episodes of show or so, they both know that you and I don't always agree politically. You and I have a difference about
Right.
opinion
You're
about that.
a boomer and I'm not.
But the thing is, the thing is, though, however, I have to agree with you on this because, I mean, people, you have a constitutional right to go wherever you want to go. But the people who places you go have the constitutional right to not serve you if they feel like you're endangering somebody.
Yeah.
I just see, I've seen so many episodes. I mean, there was a camp in Missouri. 80 people left there the other day. They had COVID-19. They had a big camp,
Like a summer camp?
a summer camp.
Yeah.
And 80 people got the COVID, and then they all went home to 10 different states.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the people are going into stores. They complain they don't want to wear masks. People are complaining they don't want it. They want to go. They're eating outside. I'm sorry, but I'm fully in support of businesses. I get that, but a lot of these places are not. They're still not social distancing. They don't think. I went to the store today, and I'm standing in front of the bread aisle getting a loaf of bread. And people just walk up next to me and grab the bread too. They don't wait till I get the bread, and then they don't care. They don't have any.
Some people are claiming, well, it's not OSHA compliant. It's not OSHA compliant. Something about oxygen testing and stuff like that. Okay, well, go report it then, or don't go in the store. Go do curbside, because that is an alternative to your not wearing a mask.
It's just ridiculous. I
have some very creatively minded individuals that I have talked to on social media, and one of them is a conspiracy theorist. I mean, I'll just put it out there right now. The way that she tries to explain to me how this is all fake is she floods my social media feed, and I'm sure we have at least one of these special people on our own accounts, but it's
Right.
basically like 20 different Instagram accounts from all these people she knows that are, quote, citizen journalists. And you go to their pages and it's nothing but screenshots of other people's Twitter pages on Instagram, or memes, random memes. And there's no citing the sources. There's no journalism at all. There's nothing wrong with believing in something from super radical, journalist sites. There's nothing wrong with that. It's journalism. They're
Right.
just slanting it with the supporting evidence that they have, but they're doing journalism. That's okay.
And there's there's radical sites on both sides too.
Right. Which I wouldn't have an issue with, because somebody that works in media, I can understand why somebody would post something like that, and that's okay. But when you're posting stuff as a conspiracy theorist or as a radicalist, if that's a word,
You're making a person like me.
of stuff that's not actually journalism, you just come out stupid. That's what I told her. I said, why don't you create a blog and actually do real journalism and then share those posts with me?
Right.
I didn't tell her she's crazy and she, this is fake news. I didn't say any of that at all. I just advised her to go about it a different way.
Well, there's so many things that I mean, oh man, I have so many people sending me these videos all the time of.
That's another
before
thing.
before you
videos.
delete it, before see this, watch this before it gets deleted for the 100th time. Well, they're probably deleting it because it's not good news, and I've seen also that people are posting, and I believe this, that Facebook is, they're what do you call them? The people that watch the posts.
Mm-hmm.
They mediators.
Oh, mediators.
They
Moderators.
Moderators. Thank you. They're basically leaning toward the left. There's some videos out there of people saying, "Yeah, I'm working for Facebook, and I lean toward the left. I'm gonna if they put something about Trump on, I'm gonna delete it. I don't care what it says."
Well, you got to remember,
bad.
Kevin. According to the iceberg, 93% of an iceberg is underwater. Only 7%
Exactly.
is above. 93% is the emotion, is the emotionally driven people in this world. There tends to be more emotionally driven content, liberal and conservative, than there is logic. Only 7% of the iceberg is above water. That 7% is the logic. So it makes sense that you'll see those videos and you know, everyone is running on feelings on both sides of the fence.
Exactly, because of how you were raised. A lot of people were raised, you know, in different areas, and they grew up with what their parents believed, or maybe they don't really look at the facts of so many things that are out there. And like you said, they post a lot of fake news or a lot of non-sourced news that needs to have better sources. I've seen so many bad sources out there; it's just unreal. And then a lot of it, you know, I don't think they get it too. A lot of these videos. I mean, you and I, we've worked in the media a long time. I have, especially. And you sit in your studio, and I sit in my studio, or you go to your workplace or whatever, and you can sit there and you can manipulate the audio and the video however you wish to. And there's so much of that that's done. People go, "Oh my gosh, this is what supports it." Well, they're taking a piece and put another piece together. It can be done. It can be done nowadays. I mean, we sit here and do that with this equipment. You know, we sit here and we make our podcast and we edit it all up and we add our effects and we add. I mean, there's a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes that you don't know. We're just recording right now as what we're doing, but then Andrew and I get together the next day or that later the night or something, and we mix the podcast. That's what that's what you do. I mean, you do this with radio, you do this with television. The television vans, you go out, ABC7, NBC4, KTLA, all these stations, they have vans, and you see them, and they got the big tall antenna. They record live, and they're taking their videotapes, they put it in, they have an editor in the van. And they edit it all up and send it to the station.
And sometimes it's not even an editor. It's what they call an MMJ, multimedia journalist, meaning the pretty face of the boy or the girl that's doing the news on the street with the microphone. As soon as they finish, they go into the van and they do the edit themselves.
That's right. That's what I meant a while ago. That's people, they do their own editing.
Yeah.
And then they send it to the station because they know what they want the story to be like. And they want to basically send you an opinion. They're sending opinions. It's not like the days of Walter Cronkite and Roger Mudd and Harry Reasoner and all these guys back in the 60s and 70s where they actually just sit down and they read the news. They reported the news, and they didn't say, "Oh, well, in my opinion." Now, at the end, sometimes they did do, editorials. But for the most part, I mean, if you get on CNN today, you get on Fox, any of these news, I mean, they're all basically...
Most of those people aren't journalists. They're TV personalities.
They're spouting their opinions out.
Their
personal
they might
opinion.
have a background in journalists, but they're more portraying the character of whatever the topic is, and whatever their character is for that show. Good example. Somebody just did this, and I don't remember who it is. There are people from Fox News who have left and have gone over to CNBC or NBC. Okay. Is it because that's where their values are? No, it's where the money is.
The money is, exactly.
Megyn Kelly did that a couple years ago, right? And there was a male guy that just did it too. A male guy. That's ironic. He was a male, but a guy, right?
Well, you can't really say that for sure now because it might be a male girl. You never know.
I don't know how he identifies, but it just happened, and like people don't make a big deal about this, and it's like, well, that's because you either focus on either just Fox News or just CNN or just NBC or whatever. So when somebody new comes on, unless you know their history, you just think it's the new face that got hired to do the show. And that's literally what they are. They're just a face to do the show. It's a show.
Right.
It's a TV show. It's not real news.
And the thing here is also, I just, I'm sorry. There's so many personalities that I can't stand. And I don't mind telling you who they are. I'm going to tell you who they are right now. First of all, late night. I can't stand Jimmy Kimmel. I can't stand him.
Those are talk shows. Those are
talk
shows.
I'm going to get to the news people in just a minute.
Why don't you like Jimmy Kimmel? Let's start there.
He's not funny, for one, and he basically he's a basher. Just like, same thing with Colbert.
Have you ever liked Jimmy Kimmel?
I never did really like him. I never thought he was that funny. I do think Jimmy Fallon is funny.
I'm not a fan of Fallon.
I like some of the stuff, the music. I think I like him basically because he's a musical guy.
Yeah,
and he
he's
sings.
talented. I just SNL turned me off because he'd always laugh at his own sketches, and I'm like, that's not it's okay if you do it once in a while, but it was like every single time.
Right. He was better in the earlier days than he is now. I admit that, and he's not probably as funny now as he might have been in the earlier days. But I do like the musical skits, like his little band with the little toy instruments and
That's
stuff.
clever.
I like
That's
those
really
things,
good.
and then he has the deal where it rolls, and you can see that they have to guess the song and try to sing like
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera sang
The Wheel of
magic
Impressions and
wheels
stuff,
on the bus. Yeah, I like that. But that's good late night entertainment, in my opinion. That's kind of funny. It's kind of lighthearted. It's not anything political. But but of course, in his monologue, he always does political stuff. The one guy I cannot stand, if I saw him, and I'd probably punch him in the face, Stephen Colbert. I can't stand that guy.
I
hate that guy.
He's my favorite.
Oh, he's terrible. He's not
Why
even.
is he-
He's
why is he
terrible.
terrible?
Because
Why?
he's just a jerk. He is a jerk on television, period. He's a jerk. He's a big jerk. He's a jerk that I want to punch in the face. I can't stand him. I just cannot stand him.
What makes him a jerk?
Because he's arrogant. He thinks he's the best. He's he's egotistical. He's very arrogant. He thinks he knows everything about everything, and he's just
they
a
have
jerk.
writers, Kevin. There's a
No,
writer writing the jokes.
I don't
for
care.
him.
His jokes aren't even funny. He needs to get better writers, and he's just a jerk. I don't like him at all.
He
I
by
just can't
far
stand
is
him.
my favorite. I think he calls it better than anybody. Like
No,
it's his delivery. He's
No.
different than a Kimmel. He's different than a Fallon.
He's terrible.
He really is.
he's not. He shouldn't even be on the air. He's terrible. At the
Oh
same,
my gosh.
And the honeybee chick, what's her name? Have you seen her on? There's a chick, that Samantha Bee or Samantha.
Oh, yes,
terrible.
but she's
Another.
oh
Terrible.
my gosh.
She shouldn't even have a show. She needs to be out. I mean, if I was a network executive, she'd been off the air a long time. Not because she's
Colbert
political.
And Corden. I like Colbert and Corden. They're my favorites. James Corden.
Not because she's political. Because she's just terrible. Some of these
gosh.
personalities are just terrible in the air. Okay, so now I want to get to the CNN guys. Chris Cuomo. He's so leftist, and he just thinks he's God's cream to news people. Same thing with Don Lemon. Don Lemon.
I just like Anderson. I don't really care for anyone
Anderson
else.
Cooper. He's okay. He's just not my favorite. I think he's been around a long time. At least he sounds professional. But these guys are. You're right. They're just personalities collecting money, and that's all they're doing. I just can't stand them a lot of times, and they basically are opinionators trying to. They're like getting their little sheep following them, as they say. They're just trying to get their little followers and their people, and they, what those people believe. They could say the sun is red today, as opposed to being a ball of orange fire. It's a red ball of fire, or it's blue sun today. I mean, people are, oh yeah, so I just don't. Just not my thing. I can't stand Stephen Colbert. If he ever comes, he will never do I won't even invite him to do our podcast ever. Sorry. And I don't care if he hears it. I don't care if I just don't like him. I don't think I'd even have him on the podcast. Even if he said,
my gosh.
I just wouldn't. The rest of them I might be okay with, but I don't know. He's just arrogant. He's just a jerk, and I just can't stand him. Anyway, that's my rant for today.
Hey, and it's okay. Speaking of arrogance and jerks, going back to The Mask, Costco Karen threw a fit over a mask policy in a new Twitter video. Now, I think it's
Costco
evident
Karen.
that the name Karen, sorry for all the Karens that are watching our show that are actually nice people. Karen has been the name that society has dubbed as, if you are sitting there and pointing your finger and calling foul every single time something happens, you're a Karen. So basically, this unidentified Costco customer went viral after she refused to put on a mask going into a Costco. She was arguing with the employee over the policy. She asked to speak to the manager, and then, if that wasn't enough, she literally plopped down to sit in the middle of the warehouse, the Costco, all while a face mask was dangling from her ear. So she even had the mask. That's what I'm talking about.
This is
no
just
shoes,
stupidity.
The no shirt, the stupidity, like no service. And she's screaming off the top of her lungs, like, this is America. I'm a United States citizen. Blah blah blah. Okay, I I see this. I don't see this specifically, but I went to the store earlier actually today, and the guy that was next in line absolutely refused to wear a mask. And luckily they had the store manager manning, the front door,
Right.
and he used the most amazing customer service I have ever seen to de-escalate the situation. That man could not get that customer could not get upset if his life literally depended on it, no pun intended. I mean, and then he went back to his car, and it was my turn next, and I told him, I was like, wow, you really need a de-escalation award. You have a gift to de-escalate the situation like that.
There's so much of this going on right now. I just don't understand it. People are just like, oh my gosh, I don't understand it, Andrew. I don't get why there is such a big deal. If you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go to a place that requires masks. If you go to a place that you think that I mean there are places that they don't require you to wear a mask, but if they require you to wear a mask, don't go in them. If you just don't want to go, if you feel comfortable wearing a mask, which I do, I feel like I'm considerate to others. I don't know that I've had a ton of people that have had the virus that I know. A friend of mine named Glenn has been in the hospital for a couple of weeks now. I saw that he was on Facebook, so I feel that in my mind that I don't know if he was on a ventilator or if he's on oxygen. I haven't heard anything. He's been off for quite some time now, but I saw that he was on and that he made a post of him and looked like his granddaughter. So that's good that he's doing fine. I have another friend named Kathy who's on the front line. She's a nurse in Arizona, in Bullhead City, Arizona. She's on a ventilator and in twilight sleep right now.
Oh, wow.
And they had said that she needed to do that they needed to do a blood transfusion on her. And she works in this hospital. She's a hospital nurse. She was in Iraq. She went in the planes that have the big opening, and they load all the nurses and doctors in and all the patients, and she would go to Iraq, and that plane would drop and land within 10 minutes and be back up in the air that quick. That's how fast she was on that. She's a war hero, a war veteran. She was a nurse, and they would go and pick up all these people that were shot in Iraq in these planes, and they would take care of them and to the hospital and stuff. That's what she did. And now she moved to Bullhead City several years ago, and she's a nurse there, and she was on the front lines, and now she's in the ICU on a ventilator in twilight sleep with a blood transfusion that they're trying to get for her. I hope she makes it. We don't know. Another friend of mine.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to her.
Absolutely. Kathy Hugert. That's her name. Also, another friend of mine, Michael Austin. I wrote music with him in '90s. When I first came here, we used to sing together. Michael Austin was on The Voice. He was on The Voice. He's just finished a tour last year with Ted Nugent, and he is also coronavirus positive. And I haven't heard from him 6 or 7 days. I've heard of other musicians that are work with him that he is he's probably struggling with it, but I guess he's going to be okay. I don't know. He hasn't posted anything in about 6 or 7 days, but he's struggling with it. It's a pretty big deal. Another person, Rhonda, was a nurse in Massachusetts. She had it. She recovered. She's back at work now. A friend of mine, Jerry, and his wife, they had it. Gosh, these people are just. It's not. These people are also. Some of these people are Republicans, and they are hardcore Republicans, and they. Not going to lie to you, they had the virus and they thought it was pretty tough. And I have not known anyone to die from it yet, other than a friend of mine whose father passed away. I won't mention their name because I didn't know the father, but her father was in Texas and he passed away. But I'm assuming her father was like in his 80s.
Yeah.
But this is terrible, and I just feel like everybody's crying about a silly piece of cloth. A silly piece of cloth. That is, this is it. Literally, this is a silly piece of cloth. If it keeps you from keeps you from spreading a few germs, so what?
Yeah.
If it keeps
speaking of the coronavirus, the topic that I really want to focus on today is K through 12 schools in the state of California. Some districts have already, told the parents and the kids what it's going to look like coming back. Not everyone knows, and not everyone goes to the websites that you need to find the information. So if you're a parent or you have a kid or you're a kid that listens to this show, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Follow and subscribe. But also the California Department of Education California Department of Education, if you Google that and you go to the official government website, you're going to find a 62-page document that gives guidelines for school districts in the state of California going back to school, what they recommend. So basically, the superintendent of California schools sends this out. His office sends this out. The superintendents of each county in California gives this information to the superintendents of school districts, and then from there, the districts decide for their schools what it's going to look like. Uh, there are 4 examples: example A, B, C, and D, on options going back to school. So we're going to take a look at this really quick. Okay. Example A, 2-day rotation blending learning material. So students report to school on 2 designated days based on their grade level for in-person instruction. Okay. And then on the other day, students are engaged in enrichment opportunities aligned with academic goals established by the school through various programs. Things like physical education, health, and other content area teachers, as well as administration teachers on special assignment, could be included to reduce student-teacher ratios.
Should we share this so that people can see what you're talking about?
Yeah. So how do we share it on this?
You share your screen. You've got it on the screen, and you probably should share that screen.
Yeah. Can you share it?
Let me see. I think I can.
Yeah, because I'm reading it.
Okay. Let me see what I can do here. Let me look at this.
Yeah. And now, if you're listening to this on the audio version, after the show's over, go to the California Department of Education's
here. I shared it. You can see it.
Website. Okay, there we go. California Department of Education's website. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or iHeartRadio, and go to page 12 and 13.
And we'll put the link on later on too.
Yeah. 12 and 13 of this 62-page,
there it is right there.
Yeah, go to the bottom of that one of this 62-page recommendation, and you will see this stuff. Go to the next page. I already did that one. Right there. Yeah. Okay. So basically, example A, to wrap it up, this could include students returning to teachers that they had before the closure, creating advisory groups that build on positive relationships, or instituting looping to ensure students know who they will be working with for the next 2 or more years. Okay. Now let's look at example B. That is an A-B week blended learning model. So basically, half of the student population attends in-person learning opportunities 4 full days for the week, while the other half is engaged in distant learning opportunities, or at home or whatever. The students would alternate each week. So if I'm a student, I go 4 weeks in a month, week 1, week 3, right? So on week 2, week 4, other students would go. Example C, looping structure. So this would be for school serving grades TK-8, TK-8, an opportunity for students to stay with the same teacher in cohorts for multiple grade levels. We kind of had something like that in elementary school. I would stay with the same group of kids going from like 1st grade to 2nd grade to 3rd grade. Now, the looping provides opportunities for improved relationships between students and teachers, more targeted and efficient instruction, and a higher attendance rate. Teachers and students staying together over multiple grade levels can build a better understanding of health and safety, decreasing risk to students and staff. And then the last one, example D, early, late, staggered schedule. So grade level bands would have staggered start and dismissal time. So for example, K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, so on and so forth. The bell schedule would accommodate multiple recesses and lunch periods and multiple meal distribution points, along with time for students to engage in hand washing before entering classrooms. And students could be in a homeroom with teachers rotating to decrease student congregation in hallways. These are the 4 examples that the California Department of Education is recommending every single superintendent in every single county in the state of California to make a decision on what their districts are going to do going forward. Now, I know for a fact in San Bernardino County, my cousin's kids, the school district that they are in, they're actually doing a hybrid. So the parents get 2 options for the kids. They can either do 3 options. I'm sorry. They can either do distance learning, which is at home learning, homeschool, which is you don't go to school at all. Distance learning, you still have to turn in your work physically. Like you have to go to the school occasionally and turn it in. And then also the one where you go to school 4 days a week and then you're at home the other day. So that is in one school district in San Bernardino County. It's going to be very interesting going forward. I know that the 62-page document goes more in depth with stuff. I know in Riverside specifically here in California, they're looking at an A-B schedule in regards to kids go in the morning, they go home at 12, and then from 12 to 3 or 12 to 4, a second load of kids come to the school. So if you're a teacher, you basically teach the same lesson twice. And the kids that start in the morning, the class is only 15 students, and then the class the teacher would do in the afternoon is another 15 students. So there are all these different alternatives right now and recommendations going forward. And if you need some insight because your district hasn't said here in California what it is that they're going to do going forward, you can go and look at this document and it'll give you a little more clarity on what you can expect.
I basically know that, there's so many problems. A lot of teachers don't want to go back. I already know this for a fact. From L.A. and San Bernardino, I've seen people, teachers in Riverside, they don't want to go back. They do want to go back for the simple reason that their children, they love their kids. I mean, they want to teach and they want to be, that's why they do this. But at the same time, they're basically, this is like a frontline job. They're risking their life now. They're basically risking their life.
And you have to think about it, okay? Like in this whole quarantine, I interact with like the same 5 people almost every day. Like, that's it. When you're a teacher, you're interacting with a lot more than 5 people every single day.
Absolutely. And these kids, the special education, well, first of all, I've heard this several times from many teachers already. What about busing? There's not going to be social distancing on busing. These kids are going to get on the bus. They're going to be sitting next to each other. They're going to be playing. They're going to be happy. They're going to be fun. Doesn't matter what age. There's not going to be any social distancing. That's 1. 2, they've said, I've heard that they're going to try to put plastic in between each desk, or
I can already
plexiglass.
See what that's going to do.
That's going to be expensive, and I don't think they'll be able to do it. I don't think that will happen. 3 is that some of the teenagers don't care. They're going to go to class. They're going to be friends. They're teenagers. They're going to do whatever. But the smaller kids, especially the ones that are in special education, they just don't have the knowledge about social distancing. They don't have the knowledge about wearing a face mask. They're kids. They think that they're resilient. They want to have fun, and they don't. And especially the ones that are in special education, especially their attention deficit is not quite as strong as.
And you know what's going to complicate this even more, because I have the foresight to just see a storm waiting to happen. The kids who will be defiant because their parents don't believe in masks.
Exactly. And then also there's kids that are going to cough on each other. They're going to sneeze on each other and the whole bit. On purpose. Exactly. And then you've got to deal with this. All the teachers that are grown, that are teaching, if they're changing classes, they have to wash their hands. And they're saying in some cases that they want to keep the kids kind of more secluded in certain times. What about when the kids need to go to the bathroom? And these kids, they have to go to the bathroom, and all the touching and all of that. And then on top of that, they have to line up for lunch, and it's a crazy. This is a mess. It's a political mess as well. But this is something that you have to think about. All these teachers that teach all day, and we love teachers because teachers are wonderful. They put up with more BS and crap than anybody I know, from students who are defiant because their parents don't teach them very well. The parents don't educate them very well. The parents don't teach them respect. And then these kids that are older, like teenagers, they get, When I was a kid, Andrew, before your time, we didn't have to have security. I mean, we had a principal, and if you got in trouble, you got 3 swats. Well, they don't do swats anymore. They don't do that. I got into a fight in high school with the principal's son. And I got 3 swats. His principal's son got 3 swats.
Was his name Steven?
I know his name was Alva.
Okay.
Alva. But
I thought maybe you went to school with Stephen Colbert. I don't know.
no, but I'd like to swat Stephen Colbert. Let's just talk about that. Anyway, but the thing is that there's no respect and no discipline now in the homes as much as there used to be. Not like if I came home and I said, I got in trouble today, I would get just worse from my mom and my dad. Because I was supposed to go to school and be respectful to adults and to my friends. And you don't be disrespectful to people. That's the problem today. There's so much disrespect among so many people and so many things. And the teachers, to get back to my point, all these teachers that are putting up with all this BS and going in on the front lines with the coronavirus and trying to teach your children are going to go home to their families. And if they have the coronavirus, if they have the coronavirus, they're going to spread it to your family. And this is not just one teacher like in my household. There is thousands, hundreds of thousands of teachers, maybe even 1 million teachers out there who go home and they're on the front lines that are going to die because some of them are going to get the COVID virus and they're not going to be able to handle it and they have underlying conditions, whatever. 2, they're going to bring it to the household. It's going to be even wider spread. This is just a fire of an explosion of a fire waiting to happen in an open field of trees and grass that's just going to catch, and it's just going to burn like blazes. I don't think, in my opinion, that teachers should go back. And I know they want to, some of them want to, but the social distancing right now is the way to go with the USC. They're not having any. They're having online classes. College.
Yeah, well, all the you said USC, but actually the entire Cal State University system,
Exactly.
all universities, which is the biggest one in the country. Fun fact, has shut down and everything is done now online going into this next semester.
And while it may be a pain, we don't have any idea how long this is going to go on. We don't.
No,
and it's I commend teachers so much. I think teachers are just the greatest thing. They work hard to get their bachelor's degree, then their master's degree, and of course some of them get a doctorate and they become professors. And they're on the front lines. They're on the front lines teaching your children who have no respect for them.
And for all the teachers out there that know that I'm a cold-hearted person, I feel for you, and I'm sorry. I have so much sympathy for what you have to go through going back to school. It sucks. You're underpaid, and you don't get the respect.
They've always been underpaid, and they don't get the respect.
And they don't get the respect that they deserve. And you're going into a very, very tough situation August or September, whenever your districts go back to school. And I'm very sorry, and I feel for you. Virtual hug. That's best I can do for all of you.
Right. God bless our teachers, because they're the future, and people just people just don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm actually, to be honest, I'm actually, as an observer of life, I'm actually really scared for the teachers that are having to go back on the front lines, because that's really what it's going to be. It's going to be the front lines. I'm scared and I'm nervous for them, and I pray to God that schools are an institution, right? So like hospitals, schools are an institution of education. So if God forbid something horrible happens, it's going to happen nationwide, and you're going to see a significant spike in stupid stuff sooner than later.
And here's another thing teachers have to go through,
and
too,
that's
Andrew.
what's scary.
Another thing that they've had to go through for years and years now is the where kids come bring the guns to classrooms, and they shoot up the classrooms, and they like Sandy Hook and some of these places, Columbine and all these, there's so many. This is just something that teachers are on the front lines every day. People don't realize that teachers are on the front lines. They are right there. They risk their lives every day, whether you think it's just an easy job or not. It's not.
And maybe let's see, March, April, May, June, 3.5 months of parents nationwide having their kids at home. Maybe by the luck of God, they kind of have, parents, a better understanding on sneak peek on what a teacher would have to do in a classroom setting. Maybe they get it now with their child at home, and hopefully parents will help support whatever recommendations are coming from school districts.
Well, here's another thing I've seen too is a lot of parents want their kids to go back to school. They do, and because they don't feel like they need to be at home. I don't know if they want to party or if they, I do realize, first of all, childcare is expensive. It's very expensive. We all know that if you have a child. Yes, but a lot of parents want their kids to go back to school, and they don't have anything going on. I don't know if they just feel like they want to get away from the kids or if they don't want to teach them. A lot of parents don't even answer calls from teachers sometimes, like for these, there's an IEP that they have to have, or they have to have school meetings of some kind about the education of their children and the progress of how things are going. And parents don't reply a lot of times. Parents don't go. Parents don't seem to care.
As a former teacher, I can totally vouch for that. You have a group of parents, a handful of them in schools that are just, the school is the babysitter for the child, basically.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is sad. And I like I said, I commend teachers, and they do an amazing job of what articles and what the tools they're given to educate the children of the future. And it's going to be tough. It's going to get tougher. And gosh, I know so many teachers. I should get some of them. We should get some of those teachers on the show. I know tons of them.
We should get some teachers.
Tons of teachers in other states too, that we could get an opinion of what they think in their state and how they feel.
We will work on that for a future episode. Absolutely.
But wow, that's amazing, and it's just, oh man, it's just horrendous. I feel for them. And a lot of it has to do with politics and superintendents, and they're trying to do the best they can for the whole lot. But the whole lot doesn't want to agree, and then if someone doesn't agree, then there's a lawsuit, and there's people are so happy today, and they think that there's just so many people need to come together, and that is a big issue. People just need to come together on something. Please come together on something. Gosh,
too polarized, it's not going to happen.
It's very political. It's political.
Yeah.
It's politically driven by. I think if we took all the politics out of it, and people actually listen to what the CDC or the World Health Organization had to do.
Oh, you mean if we focus more on humanity than politics?
Exactly. Exactly. Because politics is, everybody's afraid of losing their rights. And if this country's been built on rights for over 200 years, since 1776, we've had, the Constitution, and we've been free. And I mean, come on, really, we're not going to just give up our constitutional rights. I don't think we will. I think there's too many people here who love this country.
I think people don't have foresight, Kevin. And hey, guess what? Wear the damn mask. It's a temporary situation. If you wear the damn mask, we will get through this and we can go back to life. But that's not going to happen because Americans, as I always stress and say, are super entitled. And everyone believes that, they're super special.
But the mask is only a symbol of all the things behind it, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
It's only a symbol.
That's exactly what it is.
It's only a symbol.
Or how people are portraying it. That's what I mean.
Exactly. It's only a symbol. It's all it is. It's a piece of cloth that it's irrelevant whether it stops the coronavirus or not. Which
no
it does
one's
not.
microchipping you, okay?
Oh my God, I've seen that too so many times. Oh my God.
This is not the mark of the beast, okay? We're trying to get through a difficult time in not just our country but in the world, and by you dumbasses not wearing the mask or finding solutions to not wearing the mask, meaning there are alternatives like curbside pickup that are arranged for people like you.
But they don't want curbside for the people who wear masks, or for the people that don't wear masks.
For the people that don't wear masks. I mean, anybody can.
They don't want curbside pickup. They want their rights. They want to go in the store. They want to go into the movie theaters. They want to go into the bars. Yeah. I have seen, people thrive on drinking. They can't. Yeah. They don't want to drink at home. They don't want to drink it, you get you a couple of fifths of whiskey, get you some beer, get you some Mike's Hard Liquor, get you, some wine, whatever the case is, and drink at home and watch TV. Go outside, barbecue, go in the driveway or your backyard or your patio, and, you got beer. But, people, they don't realize how wonderful it is to sit and just drink a beer out in your back patio.
What's interesting? The ones who have been in the news that are just like that have gotten the coronavirus, it is so fascinating to me how all of a sudden they have a different tone and a different attitude after they get the damn thing, it's like, what happened? What happened?
It was a hoax, and then now they got it, so they don't
And
have
now
to
they
get
got it. So maybe there's, it's like don't touch the stove. You're gonna get your hand burnt. And then the kid touches the stove and gets their hand burnt. Do
See,
they
I
do
told
it
you.
again?
I told
No.
you.
Right. And it's literally like that. You're trying to tell a child, don't get your hand burnt. That's what it's like telling these people not wearing a mask. And when I see that, I think to myself, like, all right, well, if they get it, then maybe they'll shut their mouth.
Did your
and
mom or
do
dad ever tell you something that, don't do this because I've done this before and you're rebellious? My daughter does the same thing to me. I've done this before. Oh, no, you haven't. It's a whole different world, Dad. You don't know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, here's the thing. Sure enough, you're going to learn it the hard way. If you don't want to hear what I have to say and do it the easy way because I've already done something stupid like you're about to do, then, you're going to see. And sure enough, it happens. And then they go, oh, well, I guess you were right. Well, I should have listened to you. And they're going to say, go look back someday. Oh, Dad said this or Mom said this or, and they were right. I heard, they told me, but I went ahead and did it my way anyway. And here's what it happened exactly like they said it was going to do. Because why? Because they've been through it before. I mean, people are telling you to do certain things right now. And there's just the rebellious people. People want to go to bars. They want to go drink. And it's not really, if you've seen the statistics it's people from the protests, which are between the age of 18 to 34, I believe is what they said in the age group. These people are getting the coronavirus and spreading it, and they're dying. They're dying.
Yeah.
That's the age group right now. The older age group, people have gotten smart, I guess, and decided, well, I'm going to stay home because they don't have to go out and drink. They have responsibilities. They drink at home or they do whatever. It's about partying. Everybody wants to party all the time. I've seen so many posts.
It's funny you say that because I literally just got done reading an article today from not USA Today. Crap, I forget where I was reading it. Daily Mail, I believe, because it's a UK article. Anyways, the UK, I believe London, they've lifted their restrictions. So there was all these pictures that the photographers took of them celebrating in the streets. And I mean, no one is practicing social distancing. There's people strung out on the ground, on drugs or drinking. And it's really, really bad. And I sit there and I scratch my head. And then as I look at each picture, I notice something. They're not millennials. All of those people are well under the age of 25.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
it's
the
a
Z
bunch
generation.
of people from Generation Z that are out there doing this. And it's like, wow.
They don't listen. They don't have any.
I thought you guys were smarter than that.
They don't
but I
listen.
Guess not.
They don't have any discipline. They don't listen. They don't care. They only want to party. That's all. Party, 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 party. That's all it is. Party, party, party. All they want to do is drink and
Wonder where the money comes from. That man.
Mommy and daddy give them, or they go out and they protest and loot and criminalize and sell things and do stuff. I mean, that's what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying that all these kids do that, but there are kids out there who they feel like that they're entitled and they have their parents help them out or whatever the case is, or they just, I don't know how they do it. Honestly, I really don't. I mean, I'm just dumbfounded by the way that they act. If I acted like that when I was a kid, I would have got slapped around, knocked around by my mom and my dad both. And of course,
the majority,
can't do that anymore.
The majority of the population that's Gen Z, they're not going to be very good in the workforce when they actually have to wake up to reality and get a job, because they never had that stuff instilled to them growing up. My generation, the millennials,
which are not any better, by the way.
But we still have some of those values. Some of us have had some of those values instilled to us where we actually still had to go outside and do chores, or we had to get jobs to help out at home and stuff. There's more of us that had to do that than there are of these Generation Z kids.
So you're learning the hard way. That's exactly
and I think the reason for that is because the majority of the millennials had baby boomer parents. Okay. So we had to still learn some stuff. Now, if you remember, After the baby boomers came Generation X, and the majority of the Generation X are the ones that had Generation Z,
Right.
right?
Right.
And Generation X, if we all remember correctly, are a very, very rebellious generation who did a complete 180 and opposite of the baby boomers.
Exactly.
Baby boomers had other kids, the millennials, and for those millennials that had Generation X older siblings like myself, we learned from their mistakes. Oh, they didn't do what mom and dad said to do, and this is how it worked out for them. Maybe I should listen to mom and dad. So we had less mistakes that we made. Not saying that we always listened to mom and dad, but we had less mistakes because we had a Generation X to learn from.
Right. It all boils down to one thing, honestly, and that's the total amount of respect for your parents. And there's two sides to that. The parents, first of all, need to teach respect, and they need to teach their children that when they're growing up, that you need to respect your parents. Okay, and that's the parents need to teach that and be more.
But that's the thing, Kevin. Like, the argument is, as a parent, I have taught my kid respect. It's the parent's perception or opinion on what respect looks like, right? So respect for you looks different than a Gen Xer parent.
Well, possibly
I know this from my nieces and nephew. Their idea of respect is a lot different than what I learned for respect growing up, which is a lot different than what you learned as respect from growing up.
Well, the thing is, basically, for me, is that when I grew up, if you didn't respect your parents, you got slapped around. You got spankings. You got
child abuse.
You got the
now,
chancla.
right?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's this is not. I mean, I'm sure there is cases of child abuse where parents got a little rough on the kids, but now the kids are able to call the cops for a spanking, or if they get slapped, or
even not physical. Emotional abuse too, like you're grounded, you get nothing, like TV, or you got to go to bed early, or all that stuff. You can actually be reported for child abuse for that,
for going to bed early.
Well, like if you're grounded, like you're emotionally abusing the child
for telling them to go to bed early.
If they were grounded or something, like I'm saying, like discipline, like in your generation, they hit kids for discipline. Telling the kid, like, setting strong rules, that could be enough to have the police come out and do a.
But if you spank your children, or you slap them when they smart off, and people are going to call in and go, "Oh my God, this guy is." But you know what? The kids in my days, they learned that you shouldn't do those things. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't do those things. You don't flat out do those kind of things. You respect your parents. You don't talk back to them. If you sit at the table and they say you need to be quiet, we're having a conversation, you'd eat your food and do your. I mean, it was even before me. It was even stricter before me when you had to cut your own switch. In the early 1900s, and
oh my God, that's horrible.
You had to cut and if you cut a small switch, they go back out and cut a bigger switch for you. I mean, there's things like that. I mean. Honestly, every parent now wants their child to be raised better than they think that they were raised. But to be honest with you, you can't give a child the timeout thing. Just doesn't work. It does not work. And now here's a great example of discipline that has gone wrong. 8,000 people. It's been announced by Governor Gavin Newsom of California.
Okay,
8,000 people. Are due for release by August because of the coronavirus, and they have lighter sentences than in prison, but they're going to release these prisoners.
Now, don't forget, we already have, before coronavirus, the rule or the law of releasing prisoners early because they're overcrowded.
Right.
That was already a thing before coronavirus.
But the crime here is getting worse and worse, and it's because we're releasing prisoners. They don't have they know they're going to get. Okay, you're free to go. That's my opinion. You're okay. Hit the street again. I mean, we talked about this a few weeks ago in another podcast. The guy who they stopped
for 3 times or whatever.
3 times of stealing a car. He stole a car and did 3 high-speed chases, and all he got was okay.
In the same day.
In the same day. This is not
That's real. That's real news. That
It's
really
not
did
respect.
happen.
It's not respect either. There's no respect there. I mean, people are not thinking things through.
Yeah. We need to do a show on preppers, I think, the end of times, because some people feel like it's here. We need to get some preppers on the show to tell us how they prepare for the end of the
Right.
world.
We are in Revelations right now.
Do you believe that?
In some cases, yeah. But, my mom was a big, huge fan of Edgar Cayce, who was a big, he was one of those seers. What do they call him? He was always in the Star News and the Inquirer, and he was a premonition guy who saw things in the future and then reported them, and a lot of those things came true.
Okay. Well, I mean, 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu.
Right, 1918.
Don't you think people thought then that was Revelations also? I mean,
They might
what
have.
I mean? That was like millions, right? Millions and millions, a lot more than are dying now died because medicine wasn't as advanced. So, I mean, couldn't you? I mean, I'm sure people thought that 100 years ago, Kevin, that was Revelation.
They didn't have the social media today, or back then that they had today. Obviously, I mean, they had to. The social media was much slower by far. Newspaper, or they didn't have televisions and things like that back then. But here's the thing: was there some political driven things? I don't think so. I think that people. I don't think so. I mean, this whole thing is. I've seen people post. Not just Revelations and, what are the signs? I mean, there's going to be 7 signs and all these things. I mean, and then there's also the thing about once the election is over, November 3rd, the coronavirus is just going to disappear. It's going to go away.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Not if Donald Trump wins. It'll be around for another 4 more years at least. If Biden wins, it's going to go away the next day.
Well, Kanye, don't forget about Kanye.
Oh, yeah, Kanye. What happened with him?
We don't have enough time to talk about Kanye.
I don't get. He was all up in President Trump, and now he's like running for president. I don't.
You got the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, and now the birthday party.
Oh, it's called the birthday party?
Get excited, the birthday party. And I just heard Paris Hilton is considering running now.
Oh, see,
we don't have time to talk about it though.
And they thought Trump was bad. People think Trump is bad.
People thought Bush was bad. Don't forget,
People thought Reagan was bad.
That if you go back in time and kind of jog your memory, at that time in America or in the world, people thought George W. Bush is the devil. This is the end of times. It can't get any worse than this. And then when Obama, which I still think was borderline partial racism back in the 2008, when Obama got elected president, I remember how divided people were about that one. And I thought, why are we so much more divided about Obama? Oh, right, because he's part black. I get it. Okay, cool. So yeah, and now Trump, right? Donald Trump was president. Like if we go back to 2016, like 4 years ago, we had no idea this is where we would be now. You know what I mean? Like we had no idea. Up to that point, some people thought, oh man, like the days of Obama are done. It is nothing but wide open spaces from here. Let's go. And then other people thought like, wow, this is literally the other attitude was, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be bad. No one literally thought it was going to get to this point though. No one.
And it's basically far left and far right, and there's no in between. There's no in between whatsoever. And
I think, who was it that I was on Facebook about? I forget who posted it. Sometimes people want to believe, and I'll leave us with this. Sometimes people want to believe so strongly in a thing, a person, a movement, something. Okay, they want to believe so strongly that when facts are just facts and it's there in your face, you will do everything in your power to not believe that for the fear of being wrong and having to wake up to reality. That's a fact.
Right.
That's the only way I can understand why when you present facts about certain things, and I'm not trying to lean against Trump in this case, but there are some things that you can't really explain with him. And when you try to ask people that are really strong Trump supporters about certain things that come up as flaws, because we're all human beings, we all have flaws.
Right.
There's no counter argument for it at all.
I'm not saying Trump has flaws, but I got to tell you this in regards to that. Okay, you say that he says things and blah, blah, blah.
And I'm talking about him as a person. I'm not talking about how he's running the country.
Okay, but you know why he says these things that he does? This is what my theory is, and I believe this theory.
Go ahead.
Is that he does this to mess with the media. He does it he doesn't like the media. He doesn't like the way they report. He doesn't like the things they do. So he says things.
I do believe you with that. However, there are leaked stories, and not all of them are probably true, but there are leaked stories that come out of things that were said or done behind closed doors. And those things that get leaked out to the media are kind of very similar, parallel. His behavior behind closed doors is very similar to what you see in front of the camera.
Is it Democrats or Republicans saying that, though? Because they want, see, that's the thing. The Democrats are like, oh, no, he's crazy. He's yelling at Nancy Pelosi and he threw her out.
But then you have those Republicans that have talked about him like this is what happened behind closed doors.
Well, not every Republican's going to agree with him. They want to be, that's the thing about this whole deal. They all have, just like you and I, they have their own opinions, and they're going to believe what they're going to believe, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And that's the thing about I've learned this in the last month, especially in the last month, because I can be, I don't want to say controlling, but I can be pretty, I want everything in a certain way. I see things, and I believe they should go this way, and I don't like to change them. I try to be organized as I can be. But to me, the world right now, the world itself is so unorganized and so messed up that you can't put everything into A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to the Z in the alphabet and get it all organized and filed where it's supposed to be.
Growing up, I have always believed in certain values that I hold to be true. And I think everybody does that. When it comes to leadership, the one thing that has stood out to me more than anything else, and I live and die by this, is a real leader, a true leader, can admit when they are wrong. Even if it's just once, they can admit when they are wrong, because we are not perfect. We are all human beings. And it is a very, very hard thing for somebody who is a leader to ever admit wrong, because everyone is afraid to be wrong about something.
Absolutely.
And I have never seen Donald Trump ever admit wrong for anything he's ever done. When Obama was president, there were things that he admitted that he was wrong about. One of those things, and this is where I realized that's a leader. He believed against gay marriage, and then later on, when it was legal, I think, I'm pretty sure I have my history right. He admitted that he had thought about how it did not line up with what he says or believed. And then he had a change of heart. He was wrong. Okay. George W. Bush, he's admitted wrong in the past as well. Same with Bill Clinton. They have admitted that they were wrong. When Bill Clinton admitted, or didn't, I did not have sexual, relations with that woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
When he was caught, then he came out and apologized.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he got caught. Well, you got to throw that out, because that's not the world we live in.
Monica?
We can show evidence, and then people like Donald Trump will still deny that evidence.
But here's why he does. Because he has everybody telling him he's wrong about everything. He's tired of hearing that. He's I don't care. He goes to McDonald's and he orders a cheeseburger. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. You should have been ordering a Filet-O-Fish.
Before he was president, when he was the leader of his company, to be honest with you, and I've said this too, and I think you can agree with this, the presidency has not changed Donald Trump. He has literally been the same person since he was a registered Democrat. He's always been Donald Trump. being a Democrat or Republican has not changed any of that. He still thinks and acts the same way he always has, and that will never change.
Well, he's a business person. He's not a politician, and that's the thing. Politicians are pretty wishy-washy. Not to say that Donald Trump hasn't been wishy-washy about some things, but politicians,
I don't know if
they're fighting for votes. That's all they want is votes, votes, votes. How many politicians have said, "Oh, I'm going to help the black people. I'm going to go to these inner city, help the inner cities, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that," and then it's the same thing.
But isn't that what Donald Trump is doing by denying his shit don't stink? Like, that's for votes. It's for votes. Like, that's a politician thing to do, right?
I think that he's just playing the media in a lot of things. I just think that's what he's doing. I believe that he believes in some of the things he does I believe he believes the things he's doing are for the good of the country. And he did, he's made the military much stronger than it's ever been in many years because they keep defunding the military. They keep taking money away. We need to have a stronger country.
I'm not saying that.
He's made the country stronger in many things as far as...
I'm not saying...
I mean, our economy was out of the screen here. That's exactly. See, my hand is going out of the screen. Our economy, and it will recover. But the problem is that, too many people are always saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, 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 no. And he's got Nancy Pelosi breathing down his neck. I mean, I'm
not saying he's done a horrible job as president. I'm not saying he's done a great job as president. What I'm saying, because he clearly is the leader of the free world and he has to make decisions, and those decisions will either have positive or negative consequences.
They're always going to have negative consequences because the Democrats don't like it.
Clearly, some of his decisions have had positive things, like before pandemic, the economy and the job market. Okay, I get it. I totally get it. But going back to the fundamentals, real leaders, or at least people who lead, like true leaders, should be able to admit when they make mistakes. Well, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see when that happens. And I don't believe it's happening. Donald Trump is a lot like the people that vote for him. His complex, like his beliefs and the way that he delivers things, those are the people that are voting for him. That is his base.
Well, a lot of people who believe in Donald Trump are very strong-minded about the way the country was many years ago and the way they feel.
See, Kevin, and that's another thing. Make America great again. Okay, again. When was it great? Like, give us a time frame.
Well, I want to know. There was a time when we had a strong military and people were nice to each other, and especially in the 50s, especially in the 50s and 60s. There was times when, these people respected each other. I mean, the economy was booming. Yes. Did we have a war going on in the 60s, late 60s? Yes, we had the Vietnam War, which was actually supposedly a police effort.
So war came after the good time then, right?
Well, since the Vietnam War, we've always gone kind of downhill toward the downhill because we've tried to police. The problem here with the world, in my opinion, is the United States is trying to police too many countries that are having problems. Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, we were doing Panama one time. We were doing Vietnam. I mean, we've always tried to police. We've tried to police for freedom in a lot of these countries and done a lot of policing for a lot of other countries. And we've spent money, and the politicians are scratching each other's back going, okay, we're going to help your country. We're going to send troops over there, but you've got to do this for us. And they're trying to make these deals that, Donald Trump is not all about that. He believes our country needs to come first with military and with financial, and let's get an infrastructure going here. Let's get things going here first. Then we can take the money or help the other countries. But other countries, it's just like down the street.
That's one aspect, though.
But it's not an aspect. Right? It's the same thing. You go down the street. Say you go to another city, and it's an inner city, and the people are on the streets, and they don't have any money, and they're looting, and they're doing other things that they shouldn't be doing, because that's how they try to survive. So we go in there, and we've tried to say, okay, we're going to give you education. We're going to give you facilities that you can play basketball and you can go, be family. We're going to offer you family stuff. But as soon as they take it, and just like other countries take advantage of that. They're going, okay, well, we got this. Let's see if we can get this. We're gonna get our own infrastructure built. We're gonna get our own military. We're gonna buy this stuff from the United States, and we're gonna get stronger. We're gonna buy tanks, and we're gonna buy planes, and we're gonna buy guns, and we're gonna basically we're gonna give a trade deal. And then the politicians that have traded before are making bad deals. And Trump goes in and he sees this and goes, oh no, we can't do this. This is not a good deal for the United States. We got to make money off this too. We got to do so. That's why everything has gone up in the stock market, because he was making great deals to make the economy stronger, just like if you're going to the inner city. But the problem is that we're not letting other countries take advantage of us like we used to, and that's why they don't like us a lot of times, because we've said we're going to boycott this and we're going to do a trade.
Right. No, I understand. I
same
get
thing with inner cities.
But when it comes to the way that he deals with the American people here in America, away from foreign policy, the way that he does things, I'm sorry, it's not leader-like quality.
But it goes back to the top of what you said at the top of this podcast. We feel that we are entitled. We feel that we deserve everything.
Yes.
We feel that, and the problem is that we are not entitled. And people are soft-skinned. Everybody thinks that you have a charity. What do you have? The United Way, the Cancer Fund, the Heart Association, diabetes. You have, muscular dystrophy. All these charities are begging you for money, and they think that their charity is the most important. Well, what charity is the most important? No, we've got to learn to take it easy and get ourselves going together with our country first. Everybody thinks that everybody thinks they're going to be the most important. There's not going to be a time frame, not as long as people don't discuss this and get it together.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, we got to get it together. We got to make America great again. Okay, what's the time frame? What are we looking at?
But how can you have a time frame when you have another party going, everything you do is wrong? We're not going to agree with you on anything. Right,
but then again, isn't that the problem? Like, they never see. What if we were all the same party? Would that solve the problem? Is that American? Is that democracy?
Well, that's hypothetical. We're not all the same party, and people are going to.
What if we were? Wouldn't that be communism? That's my thing.
Right. We'll never be the same party. We'll never have that. We'll have people always disagreeing.
But I get it though. Like, people on the blue don't agree with the red, and that's fine. That's democracy. But
I don't think that's democracy at all. I think that bipartisan.
What I mean is
bipartisanship is
having
democracy.
Different views is democracy. But my question is, like, okay, well, nothing's getting done. It's finally to that point where democracy there's a loophole. There was a loophole, and we're in that loophole right now where nothing's getting done.
And nothing's ever going to get done as long as people don't think things through. As long as people don't think things through, they're never going to get anything done. As long as people don't come into something with an open mind, and I'm not talking about just Democrats. I'm talking about Republicans too.
You said it. You absolutely. That's the word.
That's
open
it.
Mind.
You've got to have an open mind.
It's both sides.
But right now, people do not have that, and they will not have that, and they think that their way is the only way. And that's what I said before, earlier too. People are going to do what they're going to do, and you have to just let it go.
Here's what I believe. 15 years from now, when there's more millennials and maybe Gen Zers who are politicians, you will start to see more openness on both sides, because it's a different generation, and the generation as a whole, behavior-wise, does things differently. That's already been proven. Statistically, things are different for the millennials and Gen Zers. I honestly think you have to phase out the changing of the guards, if you will, in politics in order for that to happen. My option B is to have a third-party majority, kind of like a referee, because in Congress, you have yays and nays. There are no ehs or maybes for bills. They're yays or nays. So if you have another party who doesn't think like the Republicans and doesn't think like the Democrats, and these bills are presented, you're either going to get more yeses or no's, depending on, if it's a good bill or a bad bill for this country. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Having a third party, someone it's kind of like a
third party majority, right? So
right.
like in what is it, 100 senators, right? 100 senators.
But does the 100-party majority have to go with one or the other, or do they create? Here's where you're going to get to a problem with that. Are they going to have their own way? See, you could have a three-way thing going on here.
So this is how it works, right? Yays or nays, okay? The only way you can equally divide a third-party system, like let's say 100 or 99 senators, 33, 33, 33, right? Well, here's the problem with that, okay? There's only a yes or no for these bills. There's not a third option. So either that third party will help give you more yeses or will help give you more nos.
Right.
And I do believe, because of how polarized things are, that there are other views that don't line necessarily. I think there's a good amount of other views that don't line up with reds and blues in this country. And I believe that a third party majority you would see differences. You literally would see differences in laws and in ways that we do things as a country.
Well, there used to be a Green Party. There used to be a Green Party, and maybe they ought to call it a mediator party. And the reason being is that basically, yes, they don't they're not hard right, they're not hard left, but they're people who have their own ideas about things, but they have to mediate it in a certain way. I guess that's what you would do in a court of law.
You would either have more yeses, or it wouldn't be like a 51-50 vote, right? You'd have like a 66-44 vote or something like that, if we're using perfect numbers here. That's why I think there needs to be a third party, because like myself, I don't always agree with things that are left, and I don't always agree with things that are right. I'm more in the middle.
Right.
Yes, I'm registered as a Democrat, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm believing.
Oh my God, we can't have this podcast.
It doesn't mean I'm believing necessarily in all these policies over here. And to be honest with you, I think that's why I end up, because I'm not, there's a lot of conservative people in show business, but I'm not.
There are? Where?
There are.
I've never seen it.
It's there. It's there. It's there.
It's barely there, though. A lot of these, that's the other thing, too, that bothers me so much, is that these people in show business say their opinion. Nobody cares. They're trying to do their directives for so much of the wrong reasons.
And you have to take it with a grain of salt. Now, if those particular people, good example, Jon Stewart, if they are actively involved in, whatever it is, then I'm okay with it. The 9/11 fund for, the first responders that have cancer and stuff.
Right.
Super involved. Jon Stewart was, and he helped fight to increase their funding, and that was a successful thing that he took to Capitol Hill. So I commend that. I think that's great. But he was involved. He wasn't just checking in occasionally and telling people what he thought. He was actually involved in that particular
Right. I can see that. Jon Stewart, he's been around for a long time and involved in politics like that. Another person I really respect a lot is Gary Sinise. Lieutenant Dan Band, Gary Sinise.
So if he speaks on veteran issues, I'll listen.
Right, because he's
super involved in vets.
And he's a good person. He deserves, he's a leader. He's a strong point for veterans, which we need. Lieutenant Dan. So, there's a lot of people who are very into it and very straight about it, but there's a lot of people who just say stuff just to say stuff and to try to make themselves popular, I believe, and they don't know anything about politics. They say things. I've watched Whose Line Is It Anyway? Do you ever see that show?
Yeah, it's a good
show. They do digs at Trump all the time now. And it was just the same thing with Will and Grace. I think Will and Grace got canceled because of all the digs at President Trump all the time, especially the first episode.
They had. What do you mean the first episode? They did a reboot. It
was
on for 5 seasons.
The reboot was just I didn't want to watch it. I used to watch Will and Grace when I was younger in the 90s when it was out, but then the reboot just turned me off because it was just digging at Trump all the time.
I don't think it was as bad as you're making it sound. Yes, there were digs at Trump, but I don't think when they did that, it took away from the show. Because if you remember, the Karen character was a Trump supporter.
I didn't see the last part of it to even watch. I probably should watch it, but I've never seen it. Anyway, I just see there's just so many digs at Trump And of
Well,
course,
that's because he's the guy in charge.
I get it.
Obama, people did digs on Obama too.
I know, and Carson and David Letterman did digs on him back in the presidents, those presidents in those days. I get that, but the way they do it now is just very disrespectful. Before it was kind of, you could tell they were making fun and joking around and doing things, and people laughed. But now,
Don Rickles at the Republican convention for Reagan. He's a Democrat at a Republican convention.
Hockey puck.
Yeah, and he ripped him a new one. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and it was funny.
But yeah, that's true. But see, the presidents back then were just they worked with people, and the president now tries to work with people, but the ones they don't want to work with him. Nobody wants to work with Trump. They think that he's just crazy. They think that he's just doing his own thing. And he's tried many times to get things going, and they shoot him down every way. And they didn't shoot Reagan down a lot of times. Of course, he had some.
Here's the $1 million question. Tell me something you don't approve of with Trump. One thing.
Something that I don't approve of with Trump.
Or one thing that had happened since he's been president that you're like, yeah, I can't really get behind that.
It's just the topic we're discussing today. We're discussing today about teachers. He wants teachers to go back to classrooms. I don't think they should go back right away. I don't agree with him on that.
You know what that says about you, right?
That I'm empathetic to people?
No, there's still a chance for you. You still have hope.
Whatever.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay. Well, I do want to say one thing very quickly.
Yeah.
It's been great to get back with you here because we haven't done this in a couple of weeks.
I know. 4th of July, my dog died, everybody. That was really tough on me. And I'm still like emotional about it. Like I'm still having these episodes of crying, and it's been like 2.5, 3 weeks. So I've never been like this over an animal before, but this dog was kind of special. It was literally like a human being. I've never had an animal as smart as this dog. So,
and we've discussed this off the air that I had the same thing happen to me in November, and I still miss my dog very much. She was the demeanor was just wonderful, and she was a great companion and friend. And so, yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I'm sure there are a lot of pet lovers out there. The Rainbow Bridge is a wonderful thing. I have a friend named Rob Conrad that turned me on to that many years ago over at Magic 96 in Birmingham when I worked there. And these dogs cross the Rainbow Bridge. Have you ever read the Rainbow Bridge? You need to read that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you believe this, but I have a medium or a psychic that's a friend of mine, and she was kind of helping me kind of make sense why I'm so emotional about this. And a lot of what she said made sense to me, but it just got me more upset because I think I know inside why I'm so upset about this, but just to kind of hear it from somebody else who I confide so much in as I guess a spiritual guide was like, wow. So and then talking to my mom afterwards about it, she said words that just sent the waterworks running, and I'm like, can we just shut up and stop talking about the dog? Because it got me more and more upset. And she's like, well, you should be happy. I'm like, I'm happy the dog's not in pain, but I'm upset, so yeah, it's kind of been an emotional roller coaster, and hopefully I get through it sooner than later.
Well, I'm going to show you mine. Here's mine. That's a cute little picture of her. She was that's a little imprint of
that's adorable.
So she was a good dog, and I
might have a picture on my phone here.
So
what was your dog's name?
Well, we called her Tiffo Dog. Tiffany was her name. Tiffany, but we called her Tiffo Dog. That was her superhero.
Dog?
That was her superhero name.
Oh, that's super cute. Yeah, let me show you Riley. That was one special dog, let me tell you. Let's see, library. Here she is. Let's see which picture. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Little pointy ears. So when you have an animal like that, and it's not just an animal, she's a friend, he's a friend, whatever the case is, it's man's best friend. It's definitely very close. And
she was straight up my daughter, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and you talk to him like a kid too, right?
Yep.
That's the same way with me. So, God bless your animals. And treat them good. Did you see the report of the lady who fed the cat? What was she doing? She fed the cat poison or something. I can't remember what she did. She did something to the cat, and then it killed it. but they caught her, and now they're going to do some kind of. She's being charged for some kind of animal abuse for that cat.
Not the best way to
I wish
end
I
the
had that story
podcast.
with me. I was going to keep that story, and I don't have it here at my desk right now. But
Send it to me when you find it.
yeah,
So,
it's a crazy story. But
yeah.
they-
Again, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, in the details, you will see the website for the California Department of Education, 62-page document that will give you some insight as to what your kids or what you are doing in the next semester, K through 12.
And if you're a teacher watching, why don't you Gmail us?
Yeah,
Email us.
Yeah, Gmail us.
Gmail us, man. Best podcast ever, right?
KOAC
Oh, that's right.
podcasts at gmail.com or
Right.
just on Facebook. Kevin and Andrew have a podcast, or facebook.com/the best podcast.
Instant message us. We'd like to have you on. If you're a teacher who's teaching right now, and it doesn't matter if you want to go back to school or if you don't want to go back to school because you think the coronavirus is a problem for you, we'd like to hear from both sides. And you can email us, and we'll have a show, and we'll feature some teachers. I think that'll be a great thing because we love teachers, right?
Yeah.
So Gmail us, and check us out on Facebook. And this is Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. We're here, and check us out on YouTube. There's lots of episodes on YouTube, and we're in season 1 right now, but we are already contracted for a season 2.
Oh, yeah. We're already working on episodes and a different way to present the show. So make sure you guys subscribe.
And if you have actually something you want to talk about, music, acting, business, or maybe you have an opinion about things, teachers especially, again, Gmail us because we want to hear from you, and we'd like to have you on the show.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.
All right. That's Andrew CARAVELLA right there. My name is Kevin O'Neill. It's Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast, and we'll see you soon. By the way, number 8, baby. Number 8. Have a great day. God bless all of you.